Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and today we finally made it to the biggest and baddest top 5 we've done so far here on the Rock Fight. Today we're naming the top 5 outdoor apparel brands. But before we get to that, have you voted for who drafted the best list of outdoor towns? I mean, the answer is clearly me, but head to rockfight.co to listen to the 2025 Outdoor Town Draft and vote for your favorite roster of outdoor towns. And lastly, if you're heading to Switchback in June, come hang out with producer Dave. Come hang out with Eoin Comerford and Shawnté Salabert, and come hang out with me when we record a live episode of The Rock Fight on Tuesday, June 17th at 5 o'clock in the Trailheads Theater. Hope to see you there. Okay, we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, Rock Fight, Rock Fight.
You're listening to Rock Fight Radio.
A ball sock for old times. It's no ordinary sock. It does what it says it does. Fit. Our socks merino, but they don't fall down. This sock fits better than your sock. A funky shaped sock that's an elegant solution to budging in the toes, heel slippage, and falling down at the ankle. A sock with patented knit structures that achieve whole foot comfort that you can really feel like, whoa. A sock that acts like a base layer. A sock that's all about the base layer. A thermoregulating, moisture-wicking, body-forming base layer. Fits is a sock that fits better than your sock, maybe even the best sock ever. It really could be Fits, a bull sock for old times. It's no ordinary sock. It does what it says it does. Fit, 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 fit. It really could be Fits. Layer.
Well, you got DJ CT right here with you, and that was Bold Sock, the first big hit we ever had from Fits. Fits has been knitting the hits since 2014 with their patented whole foot comfort approach to making fine gauge merino performance socks. They make some of the best basics in the biz. Retailers, make sure to stop by and say hi at GOA Connect this June. It will be sure to put a smile on your toes. And now, back to the show. Well, it took a little longer than we intended, but after naming our top 5 footwear, gear, and accessories, I'm here today with producer Dave, with bidet enthusiast Shawnté Salabert, and with consigliere to the Rock Fight captain Eoin Comerford. Is everyone ready for another flawless top 5 brands episode on the Rock Fight?
Still waiting
Deeply.
for a flawless. Yes.
It's going to be today, Dave. I feel it in my bones.
Okay.
It's the pursuit of perfection that we're that makes the game
That's
worth
right.
it.
And the perfection of the game. Who did we forget this time?
Interesting, because Dave, I'm curious, given your background at a textile manufacturer, will you be able to put aside your love for the hundreds of little brands that we won't get to mention today?
Yes. Colin, but back then we used to have a saying that we love all of our children equally amongst the hundreds of customers that we had. But I want to tell you that that is not true. That there are some that we did love more than others. Others that we did not like seeing. Some were demon spawn. But yes, we will put that all behind us and look at the here and now. The here and now.
Oh, and we've added the category of emerging brand, which you mentioned to me you'll have to recuse yourself from because you own most of them. So
I don't own most of these brands. I know most of the brands, or I know the founders. I'm maybe advisors to like half of them. But no, I don't own them. And I was going to say, unfortunately, but actually in the current environment, thank God. So, yeah.
Shawnté made a good point. We were chatting yesterday. When does a brand stop being an emerging brand and just become, hey, they're just a small brand now?
If you're still growing, I think you're emerging. If you're just basically small, then you're just
So
small.
it's the growth, the upside of growth is still there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Emerging.
Saying that the weight of the world has not yet crushed your spirit and you're still able to show up with hope.
Shawnté,
Exactly.
off mic, you tried to make the case that a small merino-focused brand is the most important brand on the list simply because you like their stuff.
That is not how that went, Colin.
Can we trust your opinion?
You cannot. First of all, listeners, Colin's not telling the truth. I don't think I said anything about it being the most important brand. I was just like, hello.
You're pretty fired up
I gave you
about
about
it.
10 brands that I felt were egregious oversights that you forgot to put on the list. So it's like Solomon times 10, buddy.
Stop trying to do the listener's job of making us feel bad about forgetting people.
I just want to make sure someone does it in case we don't get any listener mail.
Right. I did have one last question for the team. Should we add a category called authentic brands?
Versus.
So the emerging brands, Colin.
It's all one and the same.
Or
All of Owen's
emerging
brands.
from.
That's right.
Dockers, this year's addition to the Authentic Brands roster. Okay, here's how this
future Authentic Brands companies. Okay. Yeah.
That's a missed opportunity. Let's not do that one on the fly. We'll get ourselves into trouble. But future Authentic Brands is maybe a future episode.
I like that.
Of the Rock Fight. All right, here's how this is going to work. If you haven't listened to one of these episodes in the past, we're going to create a list of the current top 5 outdoor apparel brands. The winners of those spots are contractually obligated to sign massive sponsorship deals with the podcast. Of the list we've done, apparel is probably going to be the biggest undertaking to try and whittle it down to top 5, since there are a ton of brands we could consider here, to Shawnté's point. So to keep it simple, there are 5 categories we're going to discuss. Those categories are North American core outdoor, European international, lifestyle, athleisure. That's one category, sorry. Snow and surf, and then emerging or small brands. As we talk about different brands, we'll designate them as green, so automatically worthy of consideration. Yellow, maybe, might be on the cusp. We should think about them. And then red, automatically out. We'll go back and debate the greens and yellows to figure out the winner of each category, which will lead us to then having 5 brands and thus our top 5. And to the listener, we fully acknowledge that we will miss some brands here, except Solomon, who's not eligible for anything in any of these. You know what you did, Solomon. You know what you did. But for anyone else, please send the most glaring omissions to myrockfight.
You know what you did, Solomon.
Sure did.
You know what you did.
I feel like all they need to do to get back in our good graces is sponsor the podcast, right?
Done.
I mean, it goes a long way.
That's right.
It does. It does. We know that Colin can be bought.
100%.
It's a low.
That's right,
for a
Solomon.
low
That's
price.
right.
You want to get out of detention? You know what to do. But send your omissions to
You know
myrockfight
what to
at gmail.com.
Yep.
Well, we have a consigliere. We
Right.
got to get a little more threatening.
Right.
That's how I figure we
You
should.
know
By
what
the way,
to
also,
do.
can I just, since we brought up consigliere, which I do think is most wonderful, and we have a producer, and then you just introduced me as bidet enthusiast, I'd like you to workshop
accurate.
that for the next time we're all on mic together.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sure
won't
you want
stick.
him to
I won't
workshop
bring it
that,
up again.
Shawnté. I think that might not turn
You know
out
what?
as you're hoping.
I'll come up with my own title, because when I first started in the music industry, I worked for a small indie label, and they let me come up with my own title. And what I suggested and got to keep was Mistress of Guerrilla Marketing. So it's just
That's really good.
just some inspiration for you, Colin.
Have you tried to apply that to other things just in your career? Like, no, that's just what I am. And from now on, that is what you shall call me.
I'm going to think about it, actually, after today.
Yeah.
I think at some point in Shanté's life, her nickname has been Salad Bear.
It has been Salad Bar,
Salad Bar.
Sub
Okay, there you go.
Sandwich, and many other things. Those, by the way, were not my choices.
I like Mistress of Guerrilla Marketing better.
Thank you.
Gorillas of the
That's pretty
Mistress. But
Gorillas of the Mistress. That's a different podcast. That's a different role. That's a lot of different things altogether.
right.
Only fans for animal enthusiasts.
All right, last reminder before we get started. A good rule of thumb, like last time, when push comes to shove, if we were starting our own specialty outdoor store, would you stock this brand in your store as sort of a guiding principle? How I definitely like to approach these things. Like, would I stock this brand? Do I believe in this brand to have in my shop? So that is one last guiding principle here. Any questions about the rules? All right. Well, before we get started, today's episode is brought to you by Lems, where big things are coming this fall. We're excited to launch a fresh lineup, including a special Vibram collaboration featuring our all-new tactical boots, Summit Boot Pro and Chelsea Boot Pro, all built on rugged Vibram outsoles for next-level performance. Come check them out in person at the Switchback event in Nashville, June 17th to 18th. Swing by our booth, meet the team, and get a first look at what's ahead. In the meantime, explore more at lemsshoes.com. All right. We are ready to talk about small or emerging brands. So, Owen, you will contribute to the conversation, but you will not weigh in on the final decision.
Correct. Maybe I'll put
Okay.
my thumb on the scale, but no, I will not.
So the list I have for small and emerging brands are as follows. We have Lifson, Nara, Artilect, Bergen, Senchi, Wild Rye, Scenic, Ridge Merino. And then I did reach out to our pals at Garage Grown Gear, and Lloyd sent over the following 6 brands: Sam Bob, Farpoint Outdoor Gear, Jolly Gear, Arms of Andes, Half Days, and Paka Apparel. And I guess to start
in
the
fairness, I added those last 2.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
All the credit to
Lloyd
Lloyd.
was only responsible for the 4.
Man, Lloyd just trying to steal your thunder over here, Owen, you know? blaming Lloyd for that one. But no, but for this one, I mean, what is it we're looking for this, this list? And from like, is it the potential of where a brand could be? Could it be a big brand? Is it the differentiation of the product? Like when you're going to think about which one you're going to pick here, Shawnté, which one are you interested in the most?
Well, you already know which one I'm interested in the most, but I will say I have items from quite a few of these brands. And I think if I'm thinking about this if our metric is, would I put this in my fantasy store? It's what would appeal to the most number of people. Like how, some of these are very niche. Some of these are a little more broad. I have a Senshi that I love so much. I have Farpoint pants that I love so much. Both of those are Alpha Direct Fleece. Both of those brands are pretty specific in what they make. I have Wild Rye shorts. I love what Wild Rye does. That's a tongue twister. But for my money, I'm going for Ridge Merino. You already knew I was going to say this. I have like 5 of their Solstice sun hoodies are my favorite thing to hike in. I've got their Crowley tights, which are these amazing wool tights for winter. Anyway, they do undies, they do, lifestyle wear, but it's based up in Mammoth Lakes. They do a lot of great stuff and they've expanded a lot over the years, but I still think of them as an up and comer. That I'm putting all my money on Ridge Merino here.
Dave, what are your thoughts on the smaller emerging brands?
I'm going to go with Melanzana. Oh, wait a minute. They're not on here.
They're not on this list.
Melanzana
You can't even get a Melanzana.
They don't sell. That's
you have to pick something
they don't
one
wholesale.
can actually buy.
What?
Yeah.
Your store is going to have to be in Leadville.
If you want to make an appointment and travel to
Inside
Leadville,
the
then
Melly store.
Right?
Which is awesome. I love that they do that, by the way. That's so
Well,
cool.
I thought that they should at least be mentioned if we're talking about. That's
you mentioned
right.
them. Good,
That's
good
right.
Work, buddy.
I am going to take the opposite approach in terms of broadness about specificity. If I've got my store, I want to make sure I have brands.
What is it you're going to do?
That's a new word.
Specificity? Did I just
Specificity?
Specificity?
At least he's consistently wrong.
Just keep saying it, Dave.
I'm going to sit here for a freaking hour. So now I lost my train of thought.
Specificity, yes.
I've lost my train of thought.
Specificity.
Thank you. No, I can't even say it now. What the heck?
Not all words are meant for all people.
Right. Damn it. It's a good Scrabble word, though.
My thought on this is, if it's a small brand, what can they offer that nobody else on the list can offer?
That's where I was going.
And I look at this as honestly, Scenic, Wild Rye, and Nara are probably the 3 that I would look at in terms of there's very little that I think that other brands on this list can offer what those 3 do specifically. And if I was going to bring something new and interesting into my shop, I would look at those 3 as a starting point.
Yeah. For me, it would be, I think these new emerging brands are adding newness and innovation to the space. Otherwise, why start the brand? And
right.
As a store owner, I'm looking at new brands to add a little excitement, right? There's a lot of same with the core, who's out there. We don't need just another fleece or puffy jacket or whatever. We need something that's new and interesting. So yeah, I'd be looking at the brands that are, yes, adding something different to your point.
You know
Colin,
what?
Those guys, the Scenics, the Live-Ins, et cetera.
I see what you're saying there. Then I'm going to make a pitch for Jolly Gear because that brand is a very unusual brand. It's aimed at backpackers and thru hikers specifically, but anybody could wear them. But it's these shirts that are designed to be like a combination of button down and sun hoodie. And then they make dresses now and they make short sleeve shirts. And anyway, it's a very interesting niche product that now when you go out on the trails, you can't go on any long trail without seeing many, many people wearing the Jolly Gear shirts. The artwork is great. They do different artwork each season.
Dave, did you settle on a couple here?
Well,
that
I've always had my eye on Senshi. I think, yes, they've got a very specific audience, and from the thru hiker crowd loves what they're making. But if you peel it back even further, they're the ones that really kind of broke through with the Alpha Direct product as a primary garment. Alpha had been used. First off, Alpha had a very slow introduction. Brands were kind of slow to figure out what to do with it. It was primarily being used in the same way you'd use fill insulation, which really isn't the best use for it. And it was Nerona might have been the first brand even to really take it and try it on the outside, if you will, not forcing, let's just say encouraging Polartec to create a more durable version called Alpha Direct that could be worn on the outside. But it kind of still sat there for a little bit, didn't really pick up. And I think Senshi was the first one to really make a business out of it that had. Their cuts were interesting. Their colors were fantastic. Some of that was out of necessity because, military has first claim on all that alpha product. And so they were kind of taking what they could get. And then they just turned to dyeing. These are just incredible colors. And then everybody jumped on it. As soon as they started kind of making traction, now everybody's got an Alpha Direct piece, in their line all across the board. So talks about trend and trend setting. I'm going to give it to those guys. I think they really do a good job.
Oh, I love that. And the interesting thing about them is that they've created this model where, they influenced all these other brands to jump on it. But also they still, to this day, they do it in a drop format where they're like, all right, the next, I get the emails because I own some Senshi products. And they'll be like, all right, the next drop is happening on this date. Like it creates that fervor over the product. And you see this a lot with a lot of online marketing now where it's like, oh, you've got to be ready to get our product at this day and this time, but it works. And in this case, it's got a cult following. So it'd be really interesting to see a brand like that end up with a wider market by ending up in specialty stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I like about that too is the product differentiation. I think the only other brand I can think of that I've seen that does something similar with a hoodie is Northwest Alpine. They have a hoodie that's an Alpha Direct hoodie, kind of similar to Senshi's. Other than that, there's not a lot of other brands on this list doing something like that. So I think what maybe we should do here for this one to kind of... Okay, Farpoint does as well. They're doing a similar thing there. Well, I look at... and Nara doing what they're doing with the She-Fly, with the She-Fly, right? I think that is if I'm going to put a small and emerging brand in my store, a product differentiation, I think is what Eoin was referencing, is important. So it's not just like, hey, it's a small brand that's kind of doing similar things to what other brands are doing in your shop. So I'm going to green Nara and Senshi. We're going to yellow Wild Rye, Ridge, and Jolly Gear. And then when we come back for the final list, I think maybe those are the ones
you might have
from.
You might have to yellow Arms of Andes too, just because they got the best name of the bunch. I think that's.
I don't even know what they do. I've never heard of them.
I have no idea,
award.
But man, I'm intrigued. No idea. Right? I'm intrigued. What house are you from? I'm from Arms of Andes.
Arms of Andes.
That's right.
I feel like Lloyd made that one up because I was.
He could be. But just you can see the patches and the T-shirts are already right there. That's fantastic.
You could make concert-style T-shirts with Arms of Andes. It'd be a good band name,
the whole
too.
thing. They can run the gamut.
Yeah. All right, does everybody feel good about those selections for small and emerging brands? And we'll come back and finalize when we're ready for the final list.
I cannot comment, but you're all wrong. But okay.
Oh,
that's not
interesting.
Fair.
Interesting.
Actually, I will. Why don't you say what you think it should be, and I will bleep it so no one knows actually what you said.
The brand it should be is. And not just because I work with them, but because they're really at the forefront, both in terms of sustainability, but also really a differentiated brand that is very pro-independent, especially retail.
All right, let's move into snow and surf. I'm just going to read the top 5 or 6 we have on here, and we can start the conversation. So we have Burton, Obermeyer, Spider, 686, Picture Organic, Flylow, Bogner, and True Gear. And then we get into some more
Colin, you forgot
brands.
Roxy, Volcom, Free Fly, and O'Neill. And what about
You
Quicksilver and
Quicksilver,
Billabong?
Quicksilver,
yeah. There's
Ruka,
a lot on here.
Right?
Visla, Rhythm. Hook.
Yeah. You know what this looks like?
Who has
This looks like Authentic Brands portfolio.
It does a little bit. That's one reason why I didn't want to get too deep into that list. Dave, actually, Eoin, you couldn't really comment on the last category. Why don't you kick us off on snow and surf? What are you thinking about in snow and surf?
I mean, I think to the point, I mean, it is a bit of a mixed bag here. There's surf obviously has struggles, and then snow has been a bit up and down. To me, it would be hard to have a store and not have Burton in it, personally. I think they have been innovators for decades within the space, and it's still a pure, very founder-led, obviously not quite anymore, but still very founder-inspired as a company. So to me, that would be the big one. Obermeyer on the snow side, obviously a little bit of an older company, older kind of a deal, but still to its core is a snow brand. And then I love Picture Organic. Those would be probably my 3. Picture just for maybe the younger crowd, a little bit more of a fun, cool, hip vibe for me.
Shawnté, do you have anything you want to say about snow?
I don't have a whole lot I want to say about snow. I'm a SoCal girl. I don't, when I'm spending time in the snow, I'm like snowshoeing or very uncomfortably snow backpacking and camping. But I would go, Burton to me is like a must have. And I can't picture having any snow sports section in the store that doesn't have that. I will say I'll put a little something out there for 686 because that's one brand that I actually have owned and loved. And I was shocked by how much I liked it. And it's a brand I don't think gets as much attention as some of the others on this list, but pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think? I think Owen's right on Burton, but I really would like to make a case for a True Gear, a Fly Low, or a Picture would be probably the ones I'd personally be the most interested in.
Well, they're definitely the emerging of this category, right? I mean, Picture in this country anyway, emerging, but the others for sure. It's funny, I saw that Free Fly or that, is that an emerging brand?
Free Fly is a fly fishing brand. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they're kind of a water river lifestyle type of thing, right? That kind
Right, yeah.
I like their stuff a lot.
hook.
I've got several items by them.
I like all that, but in terms of the classic, you're right. Burton still stands above, and it's interesting too that of the trouble that the snow surf category has had, they're still at it, and they're still kind of have their top perch. Kind of, and so I think that's interesting just in terms of the health of that. 686, I agree. They've done some interesting things recently. Their product is really, I always saw them as kind of a secondary brand to the kind of the rest of the snow surf skate card. They were always just kind of out there, but I think their product has really gotten better. The color palettes and things. It's hip. There's kind of a more sophistication to it, which I just can't believe I'm saying. But
when you get more into the surf brands, it definitely gets problematic in terms of where they are, the authentic brand of it all. That there's a lot of that kind of baked into some of these brands. If we're talking about this going into an outdoor store, this is and more so than a snow or surf, this is action sports more than anything, right? So is there one of these brands that has a little bit broader seasonality where it isn't just snow or it isn't just surf, but kind of year round you could stock it and it would have something to offer in that category?
Don't you think we have a lot of other categories for that, Colin? Aren't we here for the snow? Aren't we here for the surf? Right?
I guess so. I'm just thinking if you have, if you're an outdoor store, you're probably going to have someone from the core outdoor with a lot of winter stuff, right?
Yeah, the emerging brands on that side would be Rhythm and Caton. Those are definitely hot, and actually, I think they're huge beneficiaries of the whole implosion of the liberated brands scenario. They've gained share, and I think they're going to keep it. I was in Backcountry's LA store a few weeks ago, and there was a ton of Caton in there. So
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've been waiting 15 years to make the move going. So
and that's
now's their chance.
I know it's Backcountry's store at the Grove, but that's an outdoor store.
Ish.
And that brand was in that store. Maybe Caton just gets the green marks as we exit this category.
I don't know. I don't know if they're worthy.
I would put a green on Picture though as well. I
would too. Yeah. I would too.
Any love for the Fly Lows or the True Gears?
I do like them, but I don't know if I would make the distinction between that and a Picture. Like if I had to choose, right? Picture is and again, they've been doing it for a while. Yeah. They've been building and building and building. You kind of see them go from a small little booth and a cool little concept to a major player.
And one of the few to kind of make that entry into North America and get some traction. Yeah. Okay, so we'll yellow Obenmeyer, Burton, 686, Fly Low, True, and Rhythm. But we'll green Picture and Caton. Those are kind of our two contenders as we exit out of snow and surf.
I'm waving to Spider. Sorry, Spider.
Just no.
Before we get to our next category, we want to tell everybody that today's episode is brought to you by Garage Grown Gear. Dreaming of your next backpacking trip this summer? Garage Grown Gear can help your dreams become a reality. They're your one-stop destination for all your ultralight backpacking gear needs and wants, from the big three, backpacks, shelters, and sleep systems, to all the accessories and small gear pieces that are just as essential. GGG is known for carrying all the latest gear from small cottage and ultralight brands, some of which you can't find anywhere else. Check out the link in the show notes, and happy trails this summer. Head to garagegrowngear.com. And now I would like to have our other two co-hosts, Owen and Dave, weigh in on Shawnté's hate for the
I just
term
don't
GGG.
It's guys, it doesn't come from the mouth naturally. GGG. Gosh,
I think it
golly.
rolls right off.
It
I think
does
it
not.
works.
There's no rolling. Garage grown gear.
Producer
Ross,
Dave has
dress
the
for less.
as official brand guy of Rock Fight. How do you feel about GGG?
What about Triple G?
I agree with Shawnté.
Triple G would be
don't-
true much like Triple D, diners, drive-ins, and dives, obviously. So I don't think you can go there.
No, I think, or just call
Sure,
it
that's what we
garage
think
grown.
of when we say triple G.
I think of it. I don't ever say
Yeah.
the third G when I am triple Ging.
If it was a tech company, you just call it 3G.
Oh,
Oh,
you're right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Or like an innovative fabric. 3G.
Yeah, 3G. That's right.
Well, I will leave it to the good marketing folks at Garage Grown Gear who send us the copy we read here on the show if they would like
Please.
us to not say that. Okay.
Just hire me as your copywriter and I'll fix it.
All right. So moving into, this is the hardest category: lifestyle athleisure. There's a lot of
Why is
brands
it hard,
on here.
Colin?
So many
What's
brands.
that?
Why so? Why is it hard?
Because we've like 30 brands, and we probably still missed another 30. I mean, there's so many. Look, do we just want to talk broadly about the lifestyle category in the outdoor space? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think there's a lot. Okay, so I'm all for the blend. You know, I think I brought up a brand that you apparently refused to add here, which is Outdoor Voices, but they.
Oh, did I forget to put that?
Yeah, you did, even though I told
What?
you to. That's because you were ignoring all of my texts after a certain point yesterday.
I was busy shopping
Colin.
over on GGG, and
Bless. Anyway, I think we have a really broad list here because you just went in every direction. Like there's some workwear stuff on here, great stuff, but workwear, you got the puffy coat factor in here. You've got things like Free People and Lululemon. You know, so it's like, what do we actually, when we're talking, you got Parks Project, they're not, I don't think of them as an apparel manufacturer as much as I think of them as a manufacturer of things with parks on them.
But
T-shirts.
the things
Shirts,
are
it's like
apparel.
life is good. Yeah, they're apparel, but I mean, when I think about outdoors apparel, I'm not wearing a cotton T-shirt because, as we've talked about on this podcast, cotton kills.
this is the
So do bikinis.
this is the
this is-
trajectory
yeah.
that the outdoor industry has set us on, starting back to like the 1972 or whatever, right? I mean, this is where we were headed. This is how soon did all of those brands coming out of the 60s and 70s, as quickly as they could, added a T-shirt and a plaid shirt,
Sure,
right?
but I think there's a difference between what somebody like a Prana or a Cotopaxi or a Toad and Company even is doing versus something like a Lululemon or Lol or whatever.
Sure.
You
But it
know,
all fits into that kind of, the Venn diagram crosses over, and like any of these brands would be natural if you walked into an outdoor store to see any one of them in there.
You wouldn't be surprised to see
I
these
wouldn't see-
brands.
yeah, no, you wouldn't. I mean, I still think Free People is kind of you wouldn't see Free People in an outdoor store, but
A lot of these were, yeah, we're pulling
you
from
would,
sales
yeah.
data, right?
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their
Public
own
Lands had a
section
whole
of their
section.
own store. Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Of Free People?
Let's just list some of these brands so people know what the heck we're talking about. Viore, Prana, Cotopaxi, Carhartt, Howler Brothers, Carb Designs, Crimson Clover, Doer, Toyd & Co., Beyond Yoga, Canada Goose, Faherty, Free People, Chubbies, Sherpa, Adventure Gear, Filson, Aventura, Outdoor Voices, Montclair, Aloe, Lowly, Dovetail, Parks Project, Dickies, Mountain Khakis, Kavu, Life is Good, Topo Designs, Ether. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
We wanted to include Passenger, but the president of the United States said no, we couldn't do that. So that's why we couldn't,
Yeah.
they don't qualify.
Did they go to Harvard?
No, they had to leave the United States. They were deported.
Oh,
Passenger was deported.
I see.
It's a broad list. And so picking one,
Hmm.
and there's definitely like, I mean, it's kind of to your point, I think, to a certain degree, right? You know, like a Cotopaxi or a Sherpa, you could say belong over on the core list. I mean, there's definitely, and then to your point, some of these things are like, that's a T-shirt brand. So if you're gonna pick one, is it like a Toad & Co., Toad & Company? Like, is that kind of where we want to go with this?
I know the one I would pick.
Which is?
Well, I mean, if you want sales, you pick Viore. I mean,
Right.
yeah, you just do. I mean, it's the fastest growing brand in outdoor retail, quite frankly. And it's just, You may not love it, but it works. And the other nice thing about it is that it is a full price brand. They are a brand in demand, and outdoor retailers are getting full margin for that product. And people that buy it love it and keep coming back and buying more. They get the pants in one color and they come back and they buy it in 3 more colors. So that's the one of all the brands on this page that's really making huge inroads into the outdoor industry.
Yeah, I struggle with this. Usually I look at the list and I'm like, oh, that's the one I like, or at least that's the one I prefer.
Mhm.
And I tend to agree with you because it's like, well, there's really no one on here that I'm just sort of partial to. And so at that point, it becomes like, well, which one am I going to put in my shop? Like, Vuari's kind of killing it right now. Dave, what do you got?
Well, Vuori. I feel like Dawn is going to rise and turn that brand to dust at some point.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Vuori, you
Fighting
you.
words.
Okay.
Rocks are thrown. Boulders are
$8
being
billion
thrown.
valuation, but okay.
$8 billion, and they took $7.95 billion in VC equity to get that $8 billion.
Not true. Not true. Their last 2 rounds have been secondary offerings. They're not even raising money. They're making so much money off their core business. They're just selling shares to line the pockets of the existing equity owners.
To line the that's what it feels like. It feels like a commercial venture. It doesn't feel like a lifestyle identifier brand that people attach their personal kind of experience
I'm
to.
with you, Dave, 100%.
And that's my issue, and it just exudes that. I mean, even their communication is just the most base level. Here's the product and here's the stock music, and it works because they have all that cash and can just sledgehammer it and have made a bit. And look, their product though is lovely. It's soft. It's it has a nice visceral feel to it. But I just, from a lifestyle brand, I want more of that community connection as to who is our tribe and what are we bringing to the table more than just dollars and cents and even products.
So who on this list does that for you?
Who does that? Well, Cotopaxi has done a good job with that, cultivating that kind of vibe around that. I mean, I think a lot of these do that. Howler does that. Doer's got their own thing with their product. Toad has tried for a long time. I've never really bought it. Filson clearly has a thing that they've cultivated around that's very product centric too. Outdoor Voices. I mean, Montclair. I mean, there's a lot of these brands that have done just that. So I don't have a top dog there yet.
It's a tough pick. I mean, I'm in that same struggle because Cotopaxi, to me, that's a definite winner. I also think Prana is still a strong brand. I think that clearly it is from a sales perspective, but I also think that people identify with it. I think they ride the line really well between functional things, like things I would actually take out into the mountains or out to the surf or whatever, and then things that are more pure lifestyle. And I think they ride that line really well, so that appeals to a lot of different kinds of people. I also am just going to make a play here for Outdoor Voices, since thank you for putting it back on the list. I really think they were revolutionary in bridging the gap between outdoor and lifestyle in a different way than had been done, which I think was very surf focused in the past and very toad realm of like crag hoppers, like that whole realm. I think Outdoor Voices
Crag
really
hoppers. Wow, crag hoppers getting a mention.
Hoppers. Had to bust out my Wisconsin accent for that.
Next is Arborwear.
Yeah, if Arborwear on this list, I'd vote for them just based off of loyalty from like OR 2007 or whatever it was I discovered Arborwear. I love those guys. Oh man, Prana is kind of where I want to go because I feel like, in the same case for Cotopaxi, that kind of like, again, the center of the Venn diagram of everything you're kind of talking about. But it just, and I haven't looked recently, but they definitely feel like their branding definitely wasn't as strong as it used to be. When you go to their website, it's just not quite what it was, but it's still great product and it still stand for something. And the history there is better than a Toad & Company or something like that. The problem, and I think Dave, you articulated, is it's really hard to make a case of not against just going against Vuari. I really think it's hard. I think they've kind of just saw this as this kind of confusing part of the part of the equation and just moved in and said, we own this now, and they do. And if you go back to are you opening a shop and who you're bringing in, like, why wouldn't you? Because you're probably going to sell a lot of it. But also, I know you feel like you're rooting for the Emperor here if we add them to the list.
Well, I just again, what does a lifestyle brand do for your store? And obviously, there's the dollars piece of this is super important. But you're going to be carrying some of these that maybe don't deliver the same ROI on that, but do bring in a certain customer, right? Or position you as relevant with that customer.
I mean,
Which
I
is
think a
part
lot
of
of
it.
the lifestyle, what a lot of the lifestyle brands bring is a level of approachability and also repeat purchase. Because if somebody's just coming in to buy a
Mhm.
shell, maybe that's all they buy from that brand, especially on the women's side. Because I think while outdoor brands tend to do better with apparel for guys, it's interesting. Women will come in and they will, buy that, warm winter jacket from name the brand in the core outdoor section, but they really want nothing to do with that brand when it comes to their everyday lifestyle apparel. And so in many cases, that's where some of these brands come in, is they bridge that gap and they provide product that is not just approachable, but where people want to keep coming and buying it and seeing what they come up with season after season, as opposed to maybe the more staid stuff that you're seeing coming out of the core outdoor crowd.
I think that's so true. That's my prana
big
vote
time.
right there.
When you were at Moose Jaw, Owen, was there a brand that really kind of owned the space, or was it mostly, an amalgamation of of lifestyle product from the core outdoor brands who kind of took up this, this category for you?
Oh no, we definitely we bought from quite a few of these brands. Viore, in the last, let's call it 4 or 5 years, was absolutely the biggest player. They were actually one of our top brands in our stores, like overall, ahead of Patagonia. Like, I mean, that kind of overall. So I mean, they were just a really big player. Prana was I would say more of a stalwart, just especially with their Stretch Zion, that franchise. That was just kind of a key, like that was the key pant program that really drove the business. And we'd get into some of their other products as well, but it was more about pants and bottoms in general for Prana. But no, of this list, Viore and probably Cotopaxi would have been the big two.
So Cotopaxi and Prana, I feel like if we award them this, then it's just kind of an extension of like, well, we have two kind of almost like core outdoor brands on the list, right? I feel like we should go a little different than that avenue, which we can come back to this when we go back to the final debates. But I wonder if, again, this is what Passenger, I think, was trying to do in the U.S. and what they're trying to do everywhere else is kind of be that sort of solution here. And honestly, like I look at a Royal Robbins who we have over in core, and like, should they be in kind of this position? But they are too much of their history being in Yosemite and climbing.
Yeah.
They kind of default over to that point. But if you look at their assortment, it kind of slots in next to a lot of these guys too. So, all right, for the sake of moving on, I've got Outdoor Voices, Howler Brothers, Cotopaxi, Prana, and Viore. Do we want to throw a Kavu in there just to have another brand, or do we feel like do we like those five?
Or is it Topo? Or Topo, I guess, would be the appropriate
Topo Designs?
nomenclature.
I think of them as more for their
Don't they make
packs.
shoes? I think of them
Well,
as
there's
That's a
shoes.
different
Topo
Topo.
Designs and Topo
That's
So
Athletic.
many
Topo Athletic.
topos. Oh, that's right.
And I say Topo in the sense that they were on the beginning trend of the let's call it stylization of outdoor lifestyle.
That was Outdoor Voices. Like, I really feel like you
Yeah,
guys
I'd
have
give it
something
Outdoor
against
Voices
Outdoor
over
Voices.
Topo.
Topo was first.
Yeah, but
They were first.
Yeah, I guess, but
It's
I
about the
think of
same
them as
time.
bags.
Yeah, I think of the
Whereas
bags
I think
first.
of Outdoor Voices as clothing.
Right.
Okay, let's invalidate the history. You're absolutely
That we're here
right.
for. This is
Topo does
revisionist
not
history.
matter. You're absolutely right. No, you're right. For years, I'm going to tell you that Outdoor Voices probably used Topo as an example of a brand in their investor deck, right, of ways to attack this market
Conspiracy
from
Dave
a
is
more
here.
stylistic. Well, it's not a
Outdoor Voices has
conspiracy.
been around for a
It's-
while.
Yeah, it's just like in this listing of groups, you have almost kind of like your your core style brands, which are core outdoor doing
Right.
lifestyle, and then you have your absolutely natively new school outdoor lifestyle, which Topo's a part of, which Outdoor Voices is, that are coming at it completely different, but still part of this outdoor thing we are. So it's really two types of vibes coming out of here.
The history might be that case, but when I Google Topo Designs, I get a row of images of backpacks, and when I Google Outdoor Voices, I get a row of images of apparel. So
Right.
for the sake of
Okay.
the history, you could be right about the history, but for the sake of where we are today, who we're going to bring in, that's kind of how the market sees them.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into European and international. And we know we're going to probably, we're not done yet with lifestyle athleisure. So on internet,
Wait a minute. In Montclair, we have in lifestyle and not European.
that's a good point. We could move
Okay.
them over.
Move
We didn't
them
really
over.
talk about them.
We're not going to pick
Yeah.
them, but sure.
We're not going to pick them in either one. But it's fine.
But it's a nice, friendly gesture.
It is. Yeah, look at you, Montclair. You had about 2 lists.
Yeah.
Good for
I
you.
mean, all those Montclair owners, they're such nice, friendly people. I think we should do this.
Here's the list we have. We have Helly Hansen, Fjallraven, Rab. Is it Carrie Tra? Did I mention?
Caritra?
Kari Tra? Thank
Mhm.
you. I'm not as familiar. Nerona, Descent, Mammut, Barber, Shoes, Dales of Norway, Houdini, Millet, Eider?
Eider.
How much
Eider.
is it just Eider?
Eider.
Do I throw the
Eider.
accent on it?
Mhm.
Mountain Equipment, Montbell, We Norwegians, and now Moncler.
By
It's
the way,
obviously Dales of Norway, right? I mean, Dales of Norway for the win.
Clearly, I mean.
We Norwegians can also work too, or I should say us.
By the way,
Norwegians.
kudos to Colin for nailing choose right up. Right, I mean
That was
that's
very good.
like a pro.
Thank you.
Like a
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah.
Did you
I
Google
couldn't
that
get
first?
Carrie Tra, but I got Shoes.
Sorry.
like a former ingredient salesperson,
why.
he nailed juice.
That's what it is.
exactly
Had
right.
a good alpha jacket from Shoes.
we used to have our marketing meetings, and my marketing guy couldn't get that name, and so every time he would come to that point in the weekly,
just waiting for
where
it.
I was just like, he's gonna fuck it up, and sure as shit every time.
Cagus.
Kajas.
You needed a super cut of
Kajas.
every time you tried to say it.
Yes,
I like it. Oh, that's fancy.
Eric, if you're listening, love you, buddy. It was awesome.
You know, Helly's got to be the leader now, given the whole recent, them being in the news with the new ownership group spinning off. Was it Scott Baxter coming over, from VF, all that whole thing, and it just seems like there's a lot of juice coming up behind Helly Hansen. I mean, they were probably already, a leader to begin with, right? But it feels like they are the up and coming brand in this category, and Fjallraven obviously maybe is the one that has gotten the most attention. More broadly speaking,
You mean the bag brand, Fjallraven?
For the
Well,
tiny
not
bag
the-
brand.
that's a fair point. A lot of people probably, you're right, Dave. Probably a lot of people would look at
They
them
love
as
those
the
little
backpack.
backpacks, the
Yeah.
Kankanken.
They
Yeah.
do.
Kankanken.
That's true.
Yeah,
But they're mostly known for their PFAS solutions, probably in the last few years here.
Yeah, for me, there's a lot of great brands on this list. I would say, first of all,
Yeah.
Helly is great, although they're kind of core outdoor Euro is how I would sort of put them in a little bit.
Yeah, we could put them over on Core Outdoor, and nobody would really notice, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And again, if I'm going to go international, I want somebody that's bringing something different to the table. So that's why, like, my pick would be more like a Fjallraven, just because it's one of those brands where you cover up the logo and you still know what it is, right?
you know what it is.
It's the G1000, fabric, or it's the crazy looking hiking pants, or whatever it is, right? It's just some cool stuff. It's also my personal favorite brand, but that's just me.
Fjallraven is
Yeah, 100%.
You like knee pads.
like overall. That's your number one. That's your number one draft choice right there.
Yeah, that is like what I
Wow.
like to wear, and that's probably a knock against them. But yes, I love.
They've jumped the
Fjallraven.
shark,
All right,
clearly.
everybody get rid of your
Boring.
Fjallraven.
Or it just speaks to Owen's collection of little backpacks,
Little
which we did not
backpacks.
know until
Well,
this
like,
point.
Just the tip.
That's
the
right.
pants go great with the Hoka Speed loafers, is why.
Wow.
so-
Yes,
That's an
they
image.
do.
See, I was thinking Fjallraven. I think they do a good job too of pulling in a different customer base when you think about those packs, because they are pretty ubiquitous outside of, it's not, nobody's taking that up Mount Whitney, but I'm going to throw a little pitch in here for Montbell. That is one of my favorite brands. I own probably 10 pieces by them, and that says a lot because they're not the easiest thing to find here in the States. You have to often buy it online. But I think they do a great job of innovating lightweight backpacking apparel. So, and I think of it as backpacking, but you could, take it up in the mountains, take it out wherever you want to go, and you want lighter things that are very good at protecting you from weather and wind and all sorts of things. Like I have wind mitts from them. I have my favorite wind shirt of all time. The thing that got me believing in wind shirt is the Tachyon parka by Montbell. I have 2 of their puffies. They do a great job with the puffies. And they used to do these ultralight umbrellas, and they have a whole side thing. I mean, great Japanese company, and Japanese in general. There's some really cool Japanese brands doing ultralight gear, but I'd say this one has the biggest application to people here, and probably the most name recognition of any of those outside of like Snow Peak, which obviously doesn't do apparel. But yeah, my pitch is for Montbell. I feel like that's a brand that makes some really interesting pieces that you won't find in other brands.
It kind of just they just kind of keep on keeping on. They've been around for a minute, but they just keep cranking out great products, right?
They
and
do.
every
They're
once in a while,
solid.
I kind of forget about them. Then I'll see something. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I forgot about those guys. You know,
And their stuff lasts, and they have great customer service.
I'm a little surprised, Shawnté, that you haven't tried the Snow Peak apparel. They do make titanium infused tops that are $1,700.
You know,
Iron Man
next
outfit.
paycheck. I've been putting it away in my piggy bank.
There you go. Right. It's only available in extra small,
It's
though.
funny that
I think-
two brands on this is actually have a very similar origin story. Both Rab and Montbell started really making down sleeping bags, and that's how they got into the space, and then expanded from there into other areas. Montbell, definitely Japan cool. I'm still a little bit bitter though that they killed all of their wholesale business and they're only direct now, because we had a lovely
oh, that kind of eliminates them from
we had a lovely
consideration
business
here,
with
doesn't it?
Moose Jaw with Montbell, and then they said no, we're only going direct. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring up Rab because I wanted to mention them because every piece I've had from Rab, the fit is impeccable. It performs great. It lasts forever. They make really good stuff, but I think they're almost they're kind of in that heli camp of like, it's not unusual to find them here in the States and outdoor. They're kind of, you could move them over to core outdoor and it would probably fit okay. I think Houdini deserves a mention just for obviously all the good work they do on the sustainability front. I'm wondering if Nerona isn't the answer because they're sort of they're trying to get into the States. They do a lot of amazing stuff. They have a lot of great products, but they are still very much in that kind of the other side of the ocean, in terms of like where they're mostly distributed. What do you guys think about Nerona?
Colin, you stole my thunder there with both those
sorry,
brands.
buddy.
That,
You may delete that? I can just beep it all out?
No, that's great. I two reasons. I think Houdini for obvious reasons because that's what I'm wearing at the
Power
moment. I think from a company trying to do the right thing and going the extra mile to do so, or kilometer, as we would say, they absolutely are the brand that does that. And I think their whole concept of better basics and the quality and, again, the richness of their colors, I think that they're just going along and not worrying about growing too fast. I think their moment is coming for sure in terms of just what they're offering. And then Nerona, it's the you could say it's the European Arc'teryx, right? They kind of come at it from a similar perspective. But you're right though. They're just their core outdoor and style, very modern. But I think too that they have a place.
Fjell Raven's kind of in that Heli and Rab camp though too, aren't they? And they're pretty widely distributed here. You can kind of find them.
Yeah, but again, the Heli and Rab, I think from a look and an assortment perspective,
It's like everything.
It's fleece, it's puppies,
right.
it's shells,
I got you.
etc. But Fjell has its own vibe, its own materials, its own thing.
That's fair.
Nerona, I may never forgive for being a backcountry exclusive for all the years. So, but no, I'm kidding. We did sell Nerona at Moose Jaw, and great brand, great people as well. And really, really quality product. A little pricey, as is Houdini, and a lot of the European brands actually, that come over here. There's a bit of an affordability jump that you have to make if you want to enter some of these brands. But yeah, definitely some really quality product.
Any comments on Mammut? Does Mammut deserve a mention?
Well, I like Mammut. I mean, again, a great product and an authentic brand, really. Definitely, and that's one of the things about a lot of these European brands is they're very centered in that whole alpine experience, right? And so it's truly tested in the harshest of environments. Mammut really coming from a deep climbing background to where you've got a lot of that product. One of the real pioneers in the whole soft shell side of things over the years. I think unfortunately in this market, they're their quasi exclusivity with REI for a while, I think, really hurt them. And I think they're coming back now. I think it's a brand to watch, but it probably wouldn't be my pick out of this list.
So should we advance Fjallraven, Nerona, Houdini, and Montbell, or is Montbell making the final cut given the wholesale situation?
They don't sell wholesale.
Fine.
Johnny. How can they?
Just trying to give Shawnté a
How
win
can
there.
they? Now you know who does sell wholesale is Montclair.
They really
Just
don't.
saying.
They don't. Okay.
Montclair, they really don't. Unless you're a high end Barney's or something. Yeah, most regular outdoor stores can't touch Montclair, and they want to be 100% D2C. By the way, that's their goal.
I think you make a good point though about just the quality though, Owen. Like Millet, I had my first couple pieces from Mountain Equipment that I've ever tried this past winter. Amazing jackets. I mean, you can't go wrong with a lot of these. So, but I just, we got to make some cuts here. So is it Fjallraven, Houdini, Nerona? Are that the three we take to the final? Does that make sense?
Good about those.
That's a great threesome there.
With Jack Wolfskin lurking in the background.
Oh,
We didn't mention Jack Wolfskin. Oh, that's right, because they left the U.S. market.
still on a boat somewhere
Yes,
trying to get
that's
back
right.
to Germany.
That's right. Howling.
Before we get to the moment everyone's been waiting for, we want to tell you that today's episode is presented by Oboz, who wants to share their love of hiking, and we want to help them by uncovering all the different reasons we love to take the long walk, including the following. Number 1, peeing behind a tree, that equals freedom.
I love that one.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe behind a rock, maybe not behind anything, maybe just
Anywhere.
peeing.
Yeah, just free peeing, if you will.
That could be a new
I
Olympic
love that
event.
brand.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's a cool new brand.
Number 2, rocks make better gym equipment than a Peloton. Just carry them around, get strong. Number 3, because no one can hear you wheeze out there.
I'm pretty sure they can hear me wheeze when I'm going uphill. I think anybody in a 100-mile radius can hear me heavy breathing.
You can hear Shawnté. And number 4, hiking means the Bridger boot collection. The Bridger Ridge is here to help you smooth out the rough trails in front of you with enhanced stability and protection. The Bridger Ridge is Oboz's first boot with Gore-Tex, so bring on the smiles and the miles in the Bridger Ridge. And if you are in or headed to Great Falls, Montana, pop into Bighorn Outdoor Specialist to pick up your own pair of Oboz Bridger Ridges. And this hiking appreciation moment is brought to you by Oboz of Bozeman, Montana, certified B Corp, 6 million tree planter, and inhabitant of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Oboz is the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world. Oboz, love hiking. Do you want to ask Dave your question, Shawnté?
Do I have a question for Dave?
You were wondering about the Cupid.
Oh, Dave, you wrote that line. What does it mean? What does that mean? It's the most confusing thing Colin says every week, and that's saying a lot.
Wow.
How,
God,
what's
you kind of took us
confu-
both
they
down in
want-
that one statement.
They're promoting love hiking.
The Cupid.
The Cupid is what brings you together.
Okay.
So they're the Cupid. They bring you together with
Okay.
hiking.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay,
Don't
thank you for your
question
explanation.
don't question Dave's
Okay.
copy. He's
I-
the man who came up with smiles on my toes. I mean, come on.
I mean,
That's
And-
right. Oh my
and
god.
the rock fight where we speak
Hold
our
on,
truth
but I have
and
to
slay
back up.
sacred
Sean,
cows.
does that not make sense? Am I using Cupid
No, I
wrong?
don't think so. I just, she had a question, so I said, "Dave's the guy to
did.
talk to."
No, that's
the
but
Cupid
I'm
to
genuinely
the outdoor. The Cupid. I guess you're us with it. Is that the?
Look, Shantae's breaking
Yeah,
in real
that-
time. Look
well,
at she's
I think
cracking on
it's a
camera.
little. To be fair, I wasn't putting so much emphasis on the archery
Okay, I
part,
was.
right? You're right.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
All right,
Okay.
final category, and then we actually have to figure out our list. Number
Don't
5
go,
on the
don't
list.
go hiking during bow hunting season, I think is what we're trying to say.
See, that's solid advice.
Don't
Actually-
get impaled.
No, bad idea.
Unless
That's
it's for love.
right.
I thought this was for love.
That sounds like a Lifetime movie or a
Impaled for love.
reality
Cupid of
show.
the outdoors.
Impaled for love.
Impaled
That's
for
right.
Love.
Or maybe
We would
impaled
read-
by love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let me write the next Oboz
Oh.
ad. I've got some ideas now.
We'll bring you into those meetings. You're
should.
welcome.
Let's
Maybe
go.
we
Yeah.
should. Let's
Yeah.
Come
go.
on.
I'm ready for my
yeah.
time in the spotlight.
Okay.
here.
Love that. Let's go. You bet.
All right, who's ready for the battle royale of the core outdoor?
Wow, there's going to be some blood spilled here.
I actually have an opinion. So here's the list. Patagonia, the North Face, Cool, Columbia, Black Diamond Equipment. Do I say it? Solomon? No, Solomon.
you crossed it off.
Can't. Sorry, I crossed it off.
Solomon, yeah.
Arc'teryx, Outdoor Research, Mountain Hardware, Marmot, Stio, Royal Robbins, Icebreaker, Northwest Alpine, and Ibex. Okay, so I mean, there's so many on this list that it's just, you flip a coin. I don't know. Like, they're not that, it's like, how do you be original, frankly, with some of the folks on this list? But my heart is leaning towards hardware. Just maybe that's a bit of the prisoner of the moment. But I like that they were basically a zombie and are now kind of back and doing really cool things. I like what they're doing over there. Troy from Hardware is going to be joining us on stage at Switchback. We got a chance to talk to their director of innovation, Dave and I did, while we were up at the Functional Fabric Fair. I like that, they're owned by Columbia and they're still doing some cool stuff. They have reach, they have the legacy. And it's not Patagonia or the North Face. No offense, Patagonia or North Face. But that's sort of like, I think that's a bit of my criteria here. But I mean, I'll just start there. Let's start with hardware.
I love them. That was going to be my pick. Yeah, their Dynama ankle pants, whatever the hell they're called, are some of the only pants. In addition, I'd say Prana is the other company that makes pants that fit my butt to waist ratio, which is a problem. Like, a lot of manufacturers still don't seem to know how to make pants for people with different butt to waist ratios. So kudos to Mountain Hardware because they do it well. And they are one of my favorite brands that I can wear out into the public and then wear out into the backcountry and feel like they're fully functional, but still kind of look nice. No, I'm a full Mountain Hardware stan. From a sales perspective, I love Patagonia. I love some of their initiatives. Their organic, regenerative cotton initiative is great. I love to see them continue to grow that. And yeah, I mean, I'm always Patagonia is my number one, but Mountain Hardware is real high on that list too. If I was going to go for a not Patagonia here.
I mean, you get Outdoor Research. I mean, great. They're doing great things. Actually, and after this goes up, we have already recorded. It's going to go up after this. I've done an interview with the head of technical apparel at Marmot. Marmot guys coming back from the dead. Marmot maybe we'll see.
Precip, one of the best rain jackets.
And over-distributed rain jackets. But, it's
best.
Okay, I'm saying let's affordable, functional for hikers.
Okay, yeah.
But, there's a lot going on in this list. I mean, Owen, where's your heart lying right now?
Well, if it's my heart, it's with Arc'teryx. I just that would be my outerwear choice to go with my Fjallraven would be Arc'teryx. That's my go-to jacket in the winter, and has been for. And it's the same jacket. I mean, for a guy who gets a lot of jackets over the years, it's the same jacket for the last decade. This stuff just looks great, fits great, and is built to last. So, yeah, that would be from the heart. From a now that they're leaning much more D2C, which I think is a challenge for our sort of fictional store thing. But they still, I think, want to be in high-end specialty retail, I would say. Patagonia. They're so core to the core, quite frankly, that it's hard.
It's an easy choice. No one's going to bat an eye if you put them on here.
It's hard not to talk Patagonia. I think if I have a knock against Patagonia, it's just the lack of newness and innovation. It's the same old hits, right, over and over again.
That is true.
But so that would be my knock on Patagonia. The North Face is another one where it's like it's hard. Nobody's going to beat you up if you say the North Face. I think my challenge there is just the breadth of the distribution. I mean, it's kind of everywhere now. It's certainly expected when you walk into an outdoor store, but it's also not that exciting when somebody finds it because it's kind of everywhere. Yeah.
Dave, you want to make the case for Columbia?
He's a local.
Yeah, right. I am. And they spelled it properly, so that's exciting. No, I feel like, though, this is one of those where half of these you're kind of irresponsible for not including on a list, right? I mean, it's just this is the foundation of the outdoor industry as it's come up, and it's hard to go away from any of these. They all have a really, really strong case.
You know what I realized, Dave? I'm looking as you're saying that. We never read out this list. Do you want to rattle them off for the listener?
Oh, right, you're right. We're just
No, I
assuming
think that Colin
Patagonia,
did. No,
North
Colin did.
Face.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep up, guys.
Sorry.
It was clearly not.
I'm not editing this
Wow.
out either.
So,
I'm leaving
I'm
this
just
in the
saying.
episode.
I think Shawnté was
Neither one of you.
checking your email while you were introducing this section.
Well,
Colin.
I think look at the. You have to say, you're right. You do have to say though. Look, like you have a brand like Northwest Alpine. How did they not get on the emerging list? How did they sneak
Colin's
over here
fault.
onto the core? They are certainly a core outdoor brand, but
It's a good
that's
point.
an emerging
Yeah, you're
brand.
right. That's probably where
Yeah.
they could have been. Yeah.
And then we have Ibex and Icebreaker. Yes, those are core outdoor brands, but are they a North Face, Patagonia, Black
No.
Diamond?
No.
And Icebreaker's actually
Hardware.
New Zealand,
No.
so they probably could have been on the international list.
They could have gone there too. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Cracks are showing.
No takers for Stio.
They are.
No.
No. Actually, they're the only one on this list that I'm like, it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, it's actually kind of fun to look at this list and think about what's happening with most of these brands. I mean, there's a handful of like, they just kind of keep on keeping on a little bit as their mentality. But you know, we talk a lot about these brands, but like Arc'teryx is really interesting. Like you said, Owen, like there's sort of, you know, we made the comment on the pod about how they have almost extracted themselves from core outdoor while still remaining incredibly core outdoor, right? They have this positioning that they've achieved. You know, what I said about hardware, I think outdoor research is just always oozing with authenticity. You know, if Marmot's on its way back, like that's interesting. You know, we've met with the folks at Royal Robbins. They've advertised here on the show. They have a really interesting take on that brand to sort of try and get it back to a place where, you know, they would like it to be. Yeah, Northwest Alpine, like we know those guys are big into the domestic manufacturing and trying to be very much a core outdoor brand. Like they're not interested in the lifestyle category. You know, there's just a lot of really interesting stories at each of these that it makes it more difficult. And that's probably why I just kind of land on hardware. I kind of feel like that checks the most boxes. But yeah, I wouldn't be really angry if a lot of these brands ended up kind of coming out of this category. Dave, did you offer a hard opinion?
I didn't. And I was even like going back to Cool. You know, is that a core outdoor brand?
Owen and I were
If
talking
we're
about this the
talking
other
about-
day. I mean, you could put them on lifestyle, but they're kind of core as well.
Are they core by association? Like
Probably.
you just expect them in
Core
this kind
light.
of, but they don't make core light. You know, it's so lifestyle, and they've been doing it a long time. But there's certainly no Arc'teryx or I mean, there's just not the what is it? The activity, if
Right.
you will, the athletic sports side of this.
I think that's fair. I mean, if you
of
look at
this
their
category.
outerwear is definitely lifestyle. I mean, they have articulated knees,
Yeah.
Dave. So you know,
Yeah.
hey,
And an umlaut.
No,
So
I do too. It's gotten worse over the last
They're
few years.
de-articulating.
But right. Trying to.
That's why you need the
trying
pants.
To see a specialist. Right. You gotta see
the other
pants.
thing I would say here is that Black Diamond and Outdoor Researcher are on this list, which and I think they believe
Yeah.
they deserve to be part of the conversation. But they're previous winners in other
That's a good
categories, so
point.
they're already in our store. We already have the brand in our fictional store. So not that we don't love you guys, but you've already won. Let somebody else win.
yeah, no,
I
right.
I'm doubling down on Mountain Hardware. That's my pick.
Well, so are we just going to carry Arc'teryx in hardware? Are we just going to call it for hardware? I mean, what do you guys think?
Let's just move this thing along. Shawnté's apparently got things to do. So
Wow.
I'm feeling the love today.
All right, I'm throwing in hardware. Let's just add hardware to the list until somebody
Wow,
else
okay,
objects.
I just needed
first-
some sort of win.
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Let me have one thing.
Okay, let's go back. We got to make some decisions, and we're not going to belabor it, right? So we have emerging and small brands. We had talked about Livsen, Nara. No, we hadn't talked about Livsen. Sorry, we talked about Nara, Senchi, Wild Rye, Ridge Merino, Jolly Gear. Should we talk about Livsen? We haven't talked about Livsen.
You should talk about
Does Livsen? Is Livsen kind of all the things we said about the small emerging brands, but it's kind of like I mentioned about hardware. It's like kind of it checks the most boxes actually. And Andrew's sitting here like, you know, crying because we haven't mentioned his brand once on the pod.
Men's and women's, you know, tops, bottoms, technical.
Great sustainability story, you know, like durability.
Yeah. Again, I can't
Well,
really
Shawnté,
speak,
what do you
but I'm
think?
speaking.
I mean,
but yeah, because I'm an advisor to this brand. But this is the only outdoor brand where, at the board meetings, we actually kick off with sustainability. Like that's the first hour.
We're getting
literally,
a peek into how sausage is made.
yeah, and it's crazy.
It's a good peek.
Question: are the board members wearing Patagonia?
Are they wearing the vest?
That's a good question. When you show up to a board meeting of a small brand like that, are you allowed to wear the giant competitors?
No. I show up I'm like head to toe lives in when I show up. Although actually, no, that's not true. I had a Prana
You're in the
shirt.
overalls?
I had a Prana shirt and lives in pants when we met this week. So
Well, so if we include Libsyn, the list is Libsyn, Nara, Senchi, Wild Rye, Ridge Merino, and Jolly Gear. What do we feel like?
Well, you
coming out
could
of that
combine
category?
Libsyn because they also have a Nara collab. They've got the overalls, and I think do they do pants
Oh,
too?
yeah.
nicely done, Sean.
So we're gonna have a smuggle. We're gonna have our first ever smuggle on one of these lists. So Libsyn / Nara in one spot.
Might be.
What do you think, Dave? Do you approve of that? Is that in the rules?
I don't approve. I think that I think Senchi would have something to say about that, but that's all.
Are we all in agreement that Libsyn is our choice though out of this category?
You can't. It's hard. You can't vote against it. And some of it you just can't vote against. Right? There's not a case
All right,
against
I'm writing
it.
it, and when we read the final list, we'll have one more chance for an objection. All right, Snow, Burton, Obermeyer, 686, Picture, Flylow, True Gear, Rhythm, and Caton. Make the call, Owen. Which one is it?
I think it's got to be Picture in terms of just brand heat right now and just an interesting brand that's doing it the right way. I think that it's got to be Picture.
Shawnté?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, here's the category that probably took up a good chunk of the pod. Lifestyle, athleisure. We highlighted Vuari, Prana, Cotopaxi, Howler Brothers, and Outdoor Voices for all that talk. Those are the ones we highlighted. Shawnté, what do you think? Make the call.
Why pick me first?
Because I want to hear you say Outdoor Voices.
which doesn't sell to wholesale.
Cotopaxi.
Dave?
Dovetail workwear.
I love Dovetail.
That's
I
where I'm
love
going.
Wasn't even
Dovetail.
on
Is
the
it
list. I
also
do
because
too.
they're
They
made
have
in
great
Portland? Are you just going pure Portland here
Dovetail.
again?
Wow, left field pick. I like it.
No, why would I do
Dovetails
that?
are great though. I love my dovetails.
Truly innovative in that in terms of finding their position. It's a niche, of course, but it's something that would be unique and I think would cause some kind of conversation. But if it's not Dovetail, then I have to go with Cotopaxi too, from a crossing the core to lifestyle, younger to older. Like you definitely see them starting to be multi-generational. I want to root for them. I want them to do well in that. But if Vuori is the choice, there's, like you said, there's a lot of financial reasons that would say
I
that.
like including Cotopaxi because it'll kick off a firestorm about are they an outdoor brand or not. So, Owen, what do you think?
How can
They're
we
an
not?
Just
outdoor
want
brand.
emails.
I mean, I think you can
Right.
argue whether Vuori is an outdoor brand 100%, but
Yeah, no.
Cotopaxi is an outdoor brand.
Versus
answer is no.
lifestyle, a core outdoor brand.
Oh,
is what I'm
okay,
saying.
yes, I think that's a fair conversation. But they make packs. Yeah, for me, if it was like gun to my head, you're spending your money and it's your story, it would be Vuori. I mean,
I think it would be for all of us, honestly.
But in
that
terms of
scenario.
a brand that I want to support and do well for the outdoor industry, it would be Cotopaxi.
Okay. Cotopaxi. And our European choice, international choice, Fjallraven, Nerona, and Houdini were the three finalists. Dave?
We're going to let Owen.
Oh, Owen?
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I love Fjallraven, so I'm not going to go against my favorite brand, but that's personal.
I think you can. I don't think you have. Can you have
Shawnté?
Cotopaxi and Fjallraven on the same list? I don't know.
Yes, you
I
can.
Just,
Yes, you can. I'm also going for Fjallraven. So
I think Houdini.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, if I go for Houdini, we could have some kind of like Viking octagon kind of contest here.
does that involve
Which-
horns?
Would sell tickets.
I just want a helmet with horns. That's
Please.
Who doesn't?
Even the crowd has
Oh,
horns.
maybe I
Are you
don't want
kidding me?
that.
Like, yeah, like that's
Well,
right.
if we include Fjallraven, the list looks like this. We're not calling this final, but right now it is Libsyn, Picture Organic, Cotopaxi, Fjallraven, Mountain Hardware as the top 5 outdoor brands of the moment. How do we feel about that list?
That's not a bad list. When you say of the moment, everybody here is just kind of hitting stride.
Think of what that's a pretty cool looking store.
I'd go to that
actually.
store.
I would open
Right?
that store.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I'll co-sign this. We all on board?
Yes.
Oh, which one? Which one, Shawnté? That was
What? No,
begrudging.
that was a yes. That was a weird yes, but it was a yes. I'm on board.
I
Y'all ready?
thought
Let's
that
go.
was I didn't
No.
get my pick.
No, I'm actually satisfied today, which is shocking to me.
All right, so the final list, the 2025 top 5 outdoor apparel brands: Livson, Picture Organic, Code Epoxy, Fjallraven, and Mountain Hardware. And if we want to have a little smuggle, we get a little bit of Nara in with Livson as well because of the collab.
right.
Yeah.
You keep trying to
Make the
do
smuggle.
that. If you're
I
gonna,
want to
if
give
you're
some
gonna
love
do
to the
that,
She
right?
Fly. The She Fly's cool.
It's now the
that's
Go
fine.
Fly. We're
That's
more
fine.
inclusive, Colin. It's the Go.
Sorry,
Go
I
Fly.
forgot.
Go
I
Fly.
keep
That's
doing
right.
that. I've done that many times on the pods.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gigi.
No,
Sorry.
that's
It's
fine.
Go Fly.
She'll come for
So-
you. Trust me.
I know. She scares me. Okay. That's it. I think that's the show. We did it. We did all. Now, when do we roll this back? September? We start again with footwear? Is that when
Oh my God, I don't have the energy. No.
take summer off and start it all over again? All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Come back on Wednesday when Doug Schnitzbahn will be joining me to run through some stories that come out of the outdoor adventure community. Be sure to check out Open Container, Doug's podcast here on the Rock Fight Podcast Network. You can listen to it on whatever platform you're using right now. New episodes come out on Tuesday. We want your emails, especially about this episode. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight is a production of Rock Fight LLC, and our producer today, producer David Karstad. Art direction provided by Sarah. Thank God that's over. Gensert. And for Shawnté Salabert and Eoin Comerford, I'm Colin True. Thank you for listening. And thank God he's here and puts an end to this episode. It's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight Fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
We did it.
Rock fight.